Maya was 12 when the world shifted beneath her feet. She had just finished school, still wearing her backpack as she ran into the house after the bus dropped her off. She could smell something good cooking, spaghetti, maybe? Her mom always made it on Tuesdays. But instead of seeing Claire in the kitchen, she saw her father, David, standing by the stove with a faraway look in his eyes. Her smile faded. "Dad?" she asked. David turned slowly. His face looked older than she remembered. "Hey, sweetheart," he said gently. Maya stepped inside. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. She looked around. No sign of her mom. Just David, quiet, tired, like he was carrying something too heavy to say out loud. "Where's Mom?" Maya asked. David set the wooden spoon down. He took a deep breath. Then he walked over and sat beside her on the couch. Maya didn't like how serious he looked. "I have something to tell you," he whispered. Maya's stomach twisted. David reached for her hand. "Your mom got very sick," he said softly. "And today." He hesitated. Maya's heart pounded. "What happened?" David swallowed hard. "She's gone, sweetheart." The room went silent. Maya stared at him. "No," she whispered. David pulled her close. "I'm so sorry," he said, voice breaking. "I wish I could have stopped it." Maya didn't cry right away. She just sat there, frozen. This wasn't real. Couldn't be. Claire had kissed her goodbye that morning, had packed her lunch, had whispered, "Love you to the moon and back." That wasn't goodbye. That was always. So why did it feel like never? Later that night, Maya sat on her bed, staring at the ceiling. David knocked softly. "Can I come in?" Maya nodded. He sat beside her, not saying much, just holding space, just being there. And somehow, that meant everything. Because even though life had changed forever, Maya knew one thing remained. David, her father, the only parent she had left. And now, he would have to be enough. The first few weeks felt like walking through water. Maya moved slowly, spoke even less. She wore her mother's old hoodie to bed every night, just so she could smell the faint trace of perfume left on the fabric. David tried. He really did. But grief made him clumsy. Not with his hands, but with his heart. He burned dinner more often than he cooked it right. He forgot Maya's school schedule and showed up late to parent-teacher night. He cried in the kitchen when he thought she couldn't hear. And sometimes he just sat at the table for hours, staring at nothing. One morning, Maya woke up to find him still in his pajamas, sitting at the dining table with a cold cup of coffee. "Dad," she said softly. David looked up, eyes tired. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I don't know how to do this without her." Maya didn't answer right away. She walked over and sat beside him. "I don't either," she admitted. They sat together in silence for a long time. Then David reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "We'll learn," he said quietly. "Together." At school, things got harder. Teachers asked how she was doing. Friends didn't know what to say, so they said nothing. Maya started skipping lunch, hiding in the library where no one would ask questions. One day, she sat alone, flipping through a book, when Mr. James, the school counselor, knocked lightly on the doorframe. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. Maya shrugged. He sat across from her. "You okay?" he asked gently. Maya stared at the book. "No," she whispered. Mr. James nodded like he understood. "That's okay," he said. "Grief doesn't have a timeline." Maya finally looked at him. "She's gone," she said. "And it feels like everything changed." James gave her a warm smile. "It did," he agreed. "But not all change is bad." Maya frowned. James leaned forward slightly. "Your dad is trying too," he said. "Even if it doesn't always look like it." Maya swallowed hard. "I think he's mad at me," she admitted. "Like I remind him of what he lost." James shook his head. "He's hurting," he said. "And sometimes, love looks like silence while we figure out how to feel again." Maya blinked back tears. That night, Maya sat at the kitchen table, pushing food around her plate. David watched her carefully. Finally, he spoke. Do you want to talk about it? Maya looked at him. She wanted to scream, to cry, to tell him how much it hurt. Instead, she whispered, "Why didn't you save her?" David flinched. His hands tightened around his fork. "I couldn't," he said quietly. "I wish I could've, but I couldn't." Maya wiped her eyes. David stood and walked around the table. He crouched beside her chair. "I can't bring her back," he said, "but I can be here. Every single day." Maya sniffled. "And that matters," he added. "It has to." Maya didn't say anything, but she didn't pull away when he pulled her into a hug. For the first time since Claire had died, Maya let herself cry, and David held her, not saying much, just being there, just showing up, because that was the only promise he knew he could keep. And somehow, that was enough. Life didn't go back to normal. Couldn't. But slowly, Maya and David found a new rhythm. One built not on forgetting, but on remembering how to live again. One Sunday morning, David tried making pancakes. He stood in front of the stove, spatula in hand, looking at the batter like it was a foreign language. Maya walked into the kitchen and saw smoke rising from the pan. "You're burning them," she said flatly. David sighed. "I know." Maya walked over and took the spatula from him. "Let me try." David stepped aside and watched as his daughter flipped the pancake with surprising ease. "I used to help Mom make these," Maya said quietly. David nodded. "I remember." There was a pause. Then he added gently, "She loved that about you." Maya looked up at him, surprised by the words, and for the first time in weeks, something inside her softened. That afternoon, they sat at the table, eating burnt pancakes and laughing anyway. David reached for the syrup. Maya hesitated, then asked, "Did you love her until the end?" David met her eyes. "Yes," he said simply. "Every second." Maya swallowed hard. "Even when she was sick?" David nodded. "Even then," he said. "Especially then." Maya looked down at her plate. "I miss her." David's chest tightened. "I do too," he whispered. They sat together, letting the silence fill the space between them. Then David smiled slightly. "She would have been proud of you," he said, "of how strong you are." Maya gave a small smile. Then she asked, "Do we keep going like this? Just us?" David reached across the table and gently squeezed her hand. "We do," he said. "We'll figure it out. Together." Later that week, David came home with 2 candles, a box of paper, and a marker. Maya raised an eyebrow. "What's all this?" she asked. David set everything on the coffee table. "I thought we could write letters," he said. "To who?" "To your mom," David said softly. "Like we used to talk to her before dinner." Maya hesitated, then nodded. They sat on the floor that night, backs against the couch, writing side by side. Maya wrote about school, about missing her mom's voice, about how much she wanted to hear Claire tell her bedtime stories again. David wrote about the quiet moments, watching Maya sleep, seeing her laugh even when she was hurting, and trying to be enough for her every day. When they finished, David read his aloud. "Dear Claire," he began, voice steady, "you were my heart, and now I'm raising our girl alone. She's so much like you, strong, kind, full of questions. I don't always get things right, but I promise I'm trying." Maya listened, tears in her eyes. Then she read hers. "Dear Mom," she started. "I miss you more than I can say. Dad tries so hard. He's not you, but he's here. I think you'd be proud of him too." David blinked back tears. Then he pulled her close. "I don't know if she can hear us," he whispered, "but I know she felt what we feel." Maya rested her head on his shoulder. "I know," she said. The next weekend, David taught Maya how to fix the broken shelf in her room. It wasn't just about tools and nails. It was about learning to rebuild. Together. As they worked, Maya asked, "How did you learn to fix stuff?" David chuckled. "Trial and error." Maya tilted her head. "Like life." David smiled. "Exactly like life," he said. "Sometimes things break, but we fix them, even if they look different afterward." Maya nodded. Then she asked, "What if I break?" David paused. He put down the hammer and turned to face her. "You won't," he said gently, "because I'll be there to catch you." Maya studied his face. Then she whispered, "You're not going to leave me, are you?" David shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "Not ever." Maya leaned into him, and for the first time in a long time, she believed it, that they could keep going, keep healing, keep being, just the two of them, a father, a daughter, learning to live again, together. School was hard. Maya had always been a good student, quiet, thoughtful, observant. But now, she felt like a ghost walking through the halls. Teachers tried to be kind. Friends tried to understand. But no one really did. They didn't know what it was like to lose someone who made life feel safe. And they didn't know how to talk to her without making things worse. One day, Mr. James, the school counselor, handed Maya an assignment. "Your English teacher asked me to give this to you," he said gently. Maya took the paper. The prompt read, "Write about the person who raised you." Maya frowned. She looked at Mr. James. "I don't know how to write this," she admitted. He tilted his head. "Why not?" Maya hesitated. "My mom used to help with these kinds of assignments," she whispered. "Now, I don't know who I'm supposed to write about." Mr. James gave a small, understanding smile. "You can write about both," he said. "About your mom, about your dad, about how love doesn't end just because someone's gone." Maya blinked back tears. Then she nodded. "I'll try." That night, Maya sat at the kitchen table with her notebook open. David walked in, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. He set one in front of her and sat beside her. "You okay?" he asked. Maya swallowed hard. "I have to write something for school," she said. "About who raised me." David nodded. "And you're stuck." Maya looked at him. "What if I don't get it right?" David smiled slightly. "There's no right way to write about love," he said. "Just honest." Maya stared at the blank page. Then she began. "My mom taught me how to laugh. She knew exactly what to say when I was scared. She held my hand when I cried." She paused, then added, "My dad isn't her. He forgets things. He burns dinner. He cries when he thinks I don't hear. But he's still here. Every day. Even when he hurts too." She stopped writing, staring at the words like they were heavier than paper. David watched her quietly. Then he asked, "Can I read it?" Maya hesitated, then handed him the notebook. He read every word carefully. When he finished, he looked at her. "This is beautiful," he said softly. Maya bit her lip. "But it's not fair," she whispered. "I should still have her." David reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "No," he agreed. "You shouldn't." Tears filled Maya's eyes. David pulled her into a hug. "But I'm glad you have me," he said. Maya let out a shaky breath. "I am too." The next week, Maya met Mr. James again in his office. She handed him the essay. He read it silently, nodding as he went. When he finished, he looked at her. "This is powerful," he said gently. "Do you mind if we share it in class? Just with your permission." Maya thought about it. Then she nodded. A few days later, she stood in front of her classmates. Her hands shook, but she read anyway. She told them about her mother, about the way Claire used to dance around the kitchen, about bedtime stories and soft lullabies. Then she talked about her father. "He's not perfect. He forgets things. He gets quiet sometimes. But he shows up, even when he's hurting." She looked around the room. Some kids had tears in their eyes. Others simply listened, really listened. Afterward, a girl named Emily approached her. "That was brave," Emily said. Maya shrugged. "It just felt real." Emily gave a small smile. "Thanks for sharing it." Later that week, Maya came home to find David sitting on the couch with a stack of papers. She raised an eyebrow. "Homework?" she teased. David chuckled. "Not quite." He handed her a book, one he had started writing months ago. She opened it and saw the title, "Things I've Learned About Raising You." Maya blinked back tears. She flipped through pages filled with scribbled thoughts. Day 17 without Claire. still trying to figure out how to be enough. Today, Maya laughed. That was all I needed. She misses her mom. So do I. But we keep going. Maya closed the book and looked at him. You wrote this. David nodded. It helps me think, he said. And remember. Maya hugged him tightly. I'm lucky you're my dad. David kissed the top of her head. And I'm lucky you're my daughter. And somehow that made everything feel lighter. Because even though grief still lived between them, so did love, so did healing, so did hope. And slowly, Maya and David were learning to live again. Together. Always together. Life didn't return to what it once was. Couldn't. But slowly, Maya and David built something new. Not perfect, but real. They found their own rhythm. Some mornings, David made pancakes that weren't burnt. Maya helped him pack his lunch before work. Other nights, they sat on the couch with old home videos playing softly in the background. Watching Claire's face light up the screen like a memory they both clung to. And though she wasn't there, her love still filled the house. David became more than just her father. He became her mom too. He showed up for school plays, even when he got lost trying to find the auditorium. He braided her hair before field trips. Awkwardly but proudly. He learned how to cook meals that didn't come from a box. One evening after dinner, Maya looked at him. You're doing better, she said. David raised an eyebrow. Better than what? Better than I thought you would, she admitted. I used to worry you wouldn't know how to raise me. David smiled gently. I still don't, he said honestly. But I'm learning every day. Maya nodded. She had started seeing him differently, not as someone who had failed her by not saving Claire, but as someone who hadn't given up on her either. Still, life threw challenges. Maya turned 13 and with it came changes. Mood swings, secrets, moments where she locked herself in her room for hours without speaking. David tried to understand, but sometimes he didn't. One night, after an argument about curfew, Maya slammed her bedroom door. David stood outside for a long time. Then he knocked gently. No answer. He leaned against the doorframe and slid down to sit on the floor. I know I messed things up, he said quietly. I know I'm not your mom. There was silence. Then, faintly, Maya whispered, I know. David exhaled. But I also know I love you, he added. More than anything. Another pause. Then the door creaked open. Maya stepped out, eyes red-rimmed. David opened his arms. She walked into them. I'm sorry, she muttered. David held her close. For what? For being mean, she said. For acting like you don't matter. David kissed her forehead. You're allowed to be mad, he said. You're allowed to hurt. He pulled back slightly. But I'll always be here, he promised. Even when we fight. Even when I get things wrong. Maya gave a small nod. I know, she whispered. I just sometimes forget. David smiled. That's okay, he said. Because I won't. At school, Maya faced a different kind of challenge. A boy named Tomas began teasing her during lunch. She doesn't have a mom, he said loud enough for others to hear. That's why she acts weird all the time. Maya clenched her fists, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she walked away. Later that day, Mr. James met her in the hallway. Are you okay? He asked gently. Maya shook her head. They keep saying stuff, she admitted. Like I'm broken because my mom's gone. Mr. James studied her carefully. Do you believe them? He asked. Maya hesitated. No, she said. But sometimes it feels true. James gave a small smile. Sometimes we feel things that aren't true, he said. Grief makes us question ourselves. Maya bit her lip. What if I never stop hurting? James tilted his head. That's okay, he said. Because healing isn't about forgetting. It's about learning to carry it. Maya blinked back tears. James added, Your dad's doing the same thing. He carries his grief so he can still carry you. Maya swallowed hard. She hadn't thought of it that way. That weekend, Maya decided to do something brave. She asked David if they could visit Claire's grave. David looked surprised but nodded. They drove in silence, hands gripping the wheel tightly. When they arrived, Maya stood beside the stone marker for a long time. Then she whispered, "I miss you." David stood behind her. "I do too," he said quietly. Maya turned to look at him. "You really loved her, huh?" David nodded. "I still do," he said. "And I always will." Maya reached for his hand. "And I still have you," she whispered. David squeezed her fingers. "And I still have you." Back home, Maya sat beside David on the couch. She handed him a folded piece of paper. He raised an eyebrow. "What's this?" Maya shrugged. "Just read it." David unfolded it carefully. The note read, "Dear Dad, thank you for staying. Thank you for showing up even when it hurts. Thank you for trying even when it feels impossible. You're not just raising me. You're teaching me how to love deeply, how to stay strong, how to keep going. I'm proud of you. Love, Maya." David stared at the words for a long moment. Then he pulled Maya into a tight hug. "I love you," he whispered. Maya hugged him back. "I love you too." From that night on, things changed again. Not in big ways, in small ones. David remembered to sign her permission slips. Maya stopped hiding in the library during lunch. She even invited friends over, nervous but willing to try. And David? He made spaghetti. Not burnt, not cold. Perfect. Maya took a bite. Then she grinned. "You finally got it right." David chuckled. "Only took me 3 months." Maya nudged him playfully. He nudged back. And for the first time in a long time, they laughed together. Real laughter. Full laughter. The kind that meant healing. The kind that meant they were okay. Maybe not perfect, but okay. And that was enough. Because family wasn't about perfection. It was about presence. About showing up. About holding each other through the storms. And somehow that was exactly what they were doing. Together. Always together. The teasing didn't stop. Maya had hoped it would fade after she started opening up in class, but some kids weren't done making her feel different. One afternoon, during lunch, Maya sat alone at a table near the window. She was halfway through her sandwich when Tomas walked by with his friends. "Still writing sad stories about your dead mom?" he asked, smirking. Maya clenched her fists beneath the table, but she didn't answer. Instead, she looked out the window, pretending not to hear him. It was easier that way, at least for now. But later that night, she broke down. She sat on her bed, hugging her knees to her chest, tears streaming down her face. David knocked gently. "Can I come in?" Maya nodded. He stepped inside and sat beside her. "You okay?" he asked softly. Maya shook her head. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They keep saying I'm broken because my mom's gone." David studied her carefully. Then he said, "You're not broken." Maya wiped her eyes. "I feel like it." David reached over and pulled her into a hug. "You're hurting," he said gently. "There's a difference." Maya sniffled. "What if they never stop?" David kissed the top of her head. "Then you keep choosing who you want to be," he said. "Despite them." Maya looked at him. "How do I do that?" David smiled slightly. "By remembering who raised you," he said, "and how strong you already are." The next day, Maya stood in front of the mirror, staring at herself. She thought about what David had said, about choosing who she wanted to be. She tied her hair back, took a deep breath and walked to school. When Tomas approached again, ready with another cruel joke, Maya surprised herself. She didn't walk away. She met his gaze. "My mom loved me enough to raise me," she said firmly. "More than I can say about yours." Tomas blinked. Maya continued, voice steady. "She taught me kindness before she left," she said. "And my dad? He showed me strength even when he was hurting." Tomas looked taken aback. Maya gave him a small, confident smile. "I don't need your pity," she said. "I've got everything I need right here." Then she turned and walked away. Not angry, not scared, just sure of herself. Later, she told David what happened. He listened quietly. Then he said, "That took guts." Maya shrugged. "You always say I'm brave." David grinned. "Because you are." As weeks passed, Maya found more moments where she could stand tall. During a group project, someone made a joke about single parents. Maya spoke up. "My dad is both my parents," she said. "And he's more than enough." Silence filled the room. Then came nods. Even quiet support from others who felt the same kind of pain. Mr. James noticed. After class, he pulled her aside. "That was powerful," he said. "You made space for others just by standing up for yourself." Maya gave a small smile. "I guess that's what Mom would have done." James nodded. "And what your dad does every day." Maya swallowed hard. Then she asked, "What if I forget her?" James studied her. "You won't," he said gently. "Because love doesn't disappear just because someone's gone." Maya let that sink in. Then she added, "Sometimes I worry Dad forgets her too." James tilted his head. "Have you asked him?" Maya hesitated. "No." James gave her a warm look. "Maybe you should." That night, Maya sat beside David on the couch. He was reading the newspaper, sipping coffee. Maya turned off the TV. "I have a question," she said. David lowered the paper. "Go ahead." Maya looked at him carefully. "Do you ever forget her?" David frowned slightly. "Forget who?" "My mom." David's expression softened. "No," he said simply. "I don't." Maya looked down. "But sometimes, it feels like you're moving on." David set the paper aside. He turned toward her. "I'll never move on from loving her," he said gently. "I'll always miss her." Maya bit her lip. "But I also love you," he added. "And sometimes, missing her means I carry her with me while I take care of you." Maya blinked back tears. David reached for her hand. "I don't want you to feel like you have to choose between us," he said. "You can love her and still love me." Maya nodded slowly. "I do," she whispered. "I really do." David pulled her close. "I know," he said, "and I'm proud of you for holding on to her." Maya leaned into him. "And I'm proud of you for holding on to me." David held her tighter. "I always will." Maya began journaling more. Not just about grief, but about life. About how much David did for her. About how he stayed up late fixing her bike. How he learned how to braid her hair without messing it up. How he cried quietly in the kitchen, not because he was weak, but because he was human. One evening, she handed him a page from her notebook. He read it silently. "Dear Dad, you're not perfect. You forget things. You get tired. You cry when you think I don't notice. But you're still here. You never left. And that makes you the strongest person I know." David looked at her. His eyes were full of emotion. He cleared his throat. "This means a lot," he said. Maya gave a small smile. "I meant it." David pulled her into a tight hug. "You're going to grow up and become something amazing," he whispered. Maya looked up at him. "Only if you keep being my dad." David chuckled. "I wouldn't dream of stopping." Maya turned 13 in the fall. She didn't want a big party. Didn't ask for presents. Just wanted to feel like she was still growing up, even with everything that had changed. David, of course, made it special anyway. He baked her favorite cake, and only slightly burnt it this time, wrapped a small gift, and handed her a card with shaky handwriting. "To my girl," he wrote, "you're growing into someone incredible, and I'm so proud to watch it happen." Maya read it twice, then hugged him tightly. "I love you," she whispered. David kissed the top of her head. "I love you too." As Maya got older, life kept changing. Her body changed. Her thoughts grew deeper. Her questions became harder. One night, after school, she sat beside David on the couch, flipping through her phone silently. He glanced at her. "You okay?" he asked. Maya hesitated. Then she said, "What if I turn into someone you don't recognize?" David raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Maya looked at him. I don't know who I am anymore," she admitted. "I miss Mom. I love you. But sometimes I feel like I don't belong anywhere." David set his mug down. Then he turned toward her fully. "You'll always belong here," he said gently. "With me." Maya nodded slowly. "But what if I change too much?" she asked. "What if I don't need you as much?" David gave a small smile. You'll always need me, he said. Even if it's just to argue with. Maya chuckled. David continued, voice warm. And I'll always need you too, he added. You remind me how to live again. Maya blinked back tears. David reached out and squeezed her hand. You don't have to stay the same, he said. You're allowed to grow, to change, to find yourself. He smiled softly. And I'll be right here, watching every step of the way. But not all changes were easy. Maya started developing feelings, real ones, for a boy in her class. Felt confusing, new, scary. So one evening, she asked David something she hadn't expected herself to say. How did you know Mom was the one? David blinked. Then he smiled. That's a big question, he said. Where'd this come from? Maya shrugged. I think I like someone. David studied her carefully. Then he said, that's normal. And beautiful. Maya frowned. Is it weird that I feel like this? Like I should feel guilty or something? David shook his head. No, he said firmly. Love doesn't stop because we've lost someone. Maya bit her lip. But what if I forget her when I start liking someone else? David reached over and gently touched her face. You won't, he said, because love doesn't erase itself. He gave her a warm look. You can love your mom forever, he said, and still make room for new things. Maya thought about that. Then she asked, did you ever think you'd fall in love again? David looked away for a moment. Then he answered honestly. I did, he admitted. But I realized I already had. Maya tilted her head. David met her eyes. I fell in love with being your dad, he said. That's enough for me. Maya's chest tightened. She leaned into him. And for a long time they just sat there. Quiet, connected, understanding each other without needing more words. Winter came. Maya faced her first heartbreak. A boy she liked chose someone else. She came home quiet. David noticed right away. He didn't push. He just waited. Eventually Maya spoke. He didn't pick me, she said softly. David nodded. That hurts, he said. It should. Maya swallowed hard. Will it ever stop hurting? David gave her a gentle smile. No, he said. But it gets easier to carry. Maya looked at him. You really never stopped loving Mom, huh? David shook his head. No, he said. And I never will. He reached for her hand. But that doesn't mean I'm not living, he added. And neither should you. Maya let out a shaky breath. Then she whispered, thank you. David tilted his head. For what? For not letting me become just the girl whose mom died, she said. For reminding me I'm still me. David pulled her close. You are, he said. More than ever. Spring arrived. Maya got accepted into a summer writing program, far from home. She showed David the letter. His eyes filled with pride. That's amazing, he said. Then he paused. When do you leave? Maya hesitated. In 2 weeks. David nodded. Then he looked at her. You nervous? Maya bit her lip. A little, she admitted. I've never been away from you before. David gave a small smile. You'll be fine, he said. You've got her in you. And me. Maya laughed slightly. David stood up. I'll support you, he said. No matter where you go. Maya looked at him. Even if I change? David grinned. Especially if you change. Maya threw her arms around him. And somehow everything felt okay. Because even as she grew older, her father was still there. Still learning. Still loving. Still showing up. Not perfectly, but powerfully. And that was all she needed. The summer writing program was a big step. Maya packed her suitcase with excitement and fear. She had never been away from David for more than a weekend. Now she would be gone for 3 weeks. On the morning of departure, David stood beside her in the kitchen. He held out a small notebook. For letters, he said. So we don't forget each other. Maya took it with a smile. I'll write every day. David nodded. I'll read them like they're gold. They shared breakfast quietly, pancakes just like always. Then he drove her to the bus stop. He helped load her bag. And when the bus pulled up, he turned to her. You've got this, he said gently. Maya hugged him tightly. I love you, she whispered. David kissed the top of her head. I love you too, he said. Always. The first few days were hard. Maya missed his voice, missed their Sunday pancake tradition, missed the way he knew how to comfort her without needing to say much. But she wrote to him every night. Dear Dad, I miss home. I miss our talks. But I'm okay. I think Mom would have loved this place. She sent the letter with shaky hands. And a few days later, she received one back. She opened it carefully. Dear Maya, you're doing amazing. I know I mess things up sometimes. But I want you to know something. You are my heart. No matter where you go, you'll always be my girl. Love, Dad. Maya blinked back tears. She tucked the letter into her journal, next to all the others. Because even though they were apart for now, their bond remained unbroken. Weeks passed. Maya made friends, shared stories, even read one of her poems in front of a crowd. When she returned home, David was waiting at the bus stop, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. Welcome back, sunshine, he said. Maya grinned. He took her bag and walked beside her on the way home. You look different, he observed. Maya raised an eyebrow. In a good way, he added quickly. Like you found something new. Maya smiled softly. I did, she said. But I also brought you with me. David looked touched. That means a lot, he said. That night, after dinner, David handed her a gift. Maya frowned. What's this? A present, he said, for being brave enough to leave the nest. Maya opened it carefully. Inside was a small wooden box. She lifted the lid, and there they were. Letters. Handwritten ones, some old, some recent. From Claire. From him. Even one from when Maya was born. Dear baby, I can't wait to meet you. I hope you feel loved every second of your life. I already do. Love, Mom. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes. She looked at David. You kept these? David nodded. I didn't want you to forget her, he said. Or that she loved you before you were even born. Maya hugged him tightly. I remember, she whispered. Every day. David squeezed her back. I know. Later that week, Maya sat beside David on the couch. She flipped through the letters again. Then she looked at him. Did you ever think about giving up? She asked quietly. David blinked. Maya continued, voice soft. When Mom died, did you ever feel like you couldn't raise me alone? David swallowed hard. There was a long pause. Then he answered honestly. Yes, he admitted. Some nights, I thought about how easy it would be to just stop trying. Maya looked at him, surprised by his openness. But then what? She asked. David met her eyes. Then I'd hear you laugh, he said. Or see you smile. Or watch you walk into a room like nothing could ever bring you down. He reached for her hand. And I remembered my promise, he said. To Claire. To you. That I'd always be here. Maya's chest tightened. David gave her a warm, tired smile. I almost broke that promise once, he whispered. But I never will again. Maya leaned into him. You never did break it, she said. Not really. David kissed her forehead. You kept me going, he said. More than you know. The next evening, Maya found David sitting at the table, flipping through his notebook. The one he used to write everything he learned about raising her alone. She peeked over his shoulder. One page caught her eye. Day 401. She's growing up. I'm still scared I won't get it right. But I'll keep showing up. Because that's all I can do. And it has to be enough. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. It is enough, she whispered. David smiled slightly. You make it feel like it is. Maya rested her chin on his shoulder. Thanks for staying, she said. David reached up and touched her arm. I promised I would, he said. And I meant it. Maya let out a shaky breath. I'm proud of you, she whispered. David looked at her. For what? For not leaving, she said. For not giving up. David's eyes softened. I couldn't, he said. Not with you waiting for me. Maya gave him a gentle squeeze. And somehow that moment changed everything. because now she knew. Her father wasn't just surviving. He was showing up. Every single day. Even when it hurt. Even when he doubted himself. Especially when he wanted to give up. He chose her. Over and over. And that made all the difference. Maya had always known her father was strong. But she didn't realize how much he hid, until she found his notebook. It was tucked away on a high shelf in his room, behind old photo albums and work files. She wasn't snooping, just looking for a pen, when she saw it. A worn-out journal with the words, "To my daughter, always," written on the cover. Curious, Maya opened it carefully, and what she read made her heart ache. Then swell, then break, then heal. The first entry was dated the day Claire died. Day 1. I don't know how to do this. How do you raise someone alone? How do you explain death to a child who's too young to understand it? But I'll try, because she needs me. Maya blinked back tears. She kept reading. Day 37. She cried tonight. I didn't know what to say, so I just held her. Sometimes that's all love is, being there. Another page. Day 102. She asked why Mom couldn't come back. I told her I wish I had an answer, that I wish I could have saved her, that I still feel like I failed them both. Maya swallowed hard. She turned another page. Day 214. Today she laughed again. Even if only for a second. It felt like winning. I'll keep fighting for more of those moments. And one more. Day 365. 1 year without her. I still miss her. Still cry at night sometimes. But I also know something now. I'm raising a brave girl. And somehow, she's raising me too. Maya wiped her eyes. She hadn't realized how much David carried. How deeply he grieved. How often he doubted himself. And how much he loved. Not just her, but every memory of Claire. Every moment they shared. Even now. That night, Maya sat beside David as they watched TV. He was flipping through channels, sipping tea. Maya hesitated, then handed him the notebook. David froze when he saw it. You read it, he whispered. Maya nodded. I didn't mean to, she said quickly. I was just looking for a pen. David stared at the book like it held secrets he wasn't ready to share. Then he looked at her. What did you think? Maya bit her lip. I think, she began, voice soft. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. David gave a small, tired smile. No, he said gently. I'm just trying. Maya reached over and squeezed his hand. That's enough, she whispered. David looked at her, really looked. Then he asked, Did it make you sad? Maya shook her head. It made me proud, she said, of everything you've done. David let out a shaky breath. I never wanted you to see my weak moments, he admitted. I wanted to be strong for you. Maya leaned into him. But sometimes, she said, your strongest moments were when you showed me your pain. David raised an eyebrow. Maya continued, voice steady. When you cried, she said, it reminded me I wasn't alone in hurting. When you tried even when you were scared, she added, it taught me how to be brave. David studied her face. Then he whispered, I guess we both needed to learn from each other. Maya nodded. We did. The next morning, Maya woke up early. She wrote something down, not in her own journal, but in David's notebook. She slipped it between the pages and left it on the kitchen table. When David came downstairs, he saw it. He picked it up slowly, flipped through, and then he saw her note. Dear Dad, you're not failing. You're doing better than you think. You show me strength every day, even when you feel broken, especially then. Love, Maya. David closed the notebook gently. His hands trembled slightly. Then he walked to her room and knocked softly. Maya opened the door. David pulled her into a hug. Thank you, he whispered. Maya hugged him back. For what? For seeing me, he said. Even when I tried to hide. Maya smiled faintly. I always will. Over the next few weeks, things changed. David talked more about Claire, not just in silence but openly. He shared stories during dinner, showed Maya old videos, even took her to places where they used to go as a family. And Maya started doing something new. She helped him. When he forgot birthdays, she reminded him. When he got lost in grief, she brought him back with quiet presence. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were healing. Together. Side by side. One evening, David stood in the kitchen, staring at the wall where a photo of Claire used to hang. Maya walked in. He turned to her. "She would have been so proud of you," he said. Maya stepped closer. "And you?" she asked. David smiled. "I think she already was," he said. "From the day I met her, she believed in me." Maya wrapped her arms around him. "She believed in us," she corrected. David kissed the top of her head. "Yes," he whispered. "She did." And somehow saying it out loud made it feel real. Made it feel like Claire was still with them. In their hearts. In their love. In their strength. Years passed. Maya turned 18, standing on the edge of adulthood with a heart full of lessons from both her parents. One who raised her, and one who loved her before she was even born. She stood on the stage at high school graduation, cap and gown perfectly in place. The crowd buzzed behind her. Families cheering, friends waving signs, teachers smiling proudly. But Maya's eyes searched for one person only. David. He sat near the front, holding a bouquet of roses. The same kind Claire used to love. When her name was called, she walked across the stage, head held high. Then came her speech. "I grew up thinking family meant two parents," she began, voice steady but emotional. "I thought that was the only way to be raised." She looked out at the audience. "But then I learned something different." A pause. "My mom gave me life," Maya continued. "And my dad? He gave me everything else." Tears filled her eyes. "He didn't do it perfectly," she said. "He burned pancakes, forgot curfew rules, cried when he thought I wouldn't notice." A soft chuckle spread through the crowd. "But he showed up," she whispered. "Every single day." The room fell silent. "Even when he hurt," she said. "Even when he wanted to give up. He chose me." She looked at David. "And because of him," her voice cracked slightly, "I know what real love looks like." Applause rose, not just polite claps. Genuine, heartfelt support. And somewhere in the crowd, David wiped his eyes. After the ceremony, Maya stepped off the stage and into her father's waiting arms. He pulled her close. "You were amazing," he said, voice thick with emotion. Maya smiled against his shoulder. "So were you." David let out a shaky breath. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. Maya pulled back and looked at him. "I'm proud of us," she corrected. David chuckled. "That works too." That night, Maya found a gift wrapped in old newspaper on the kitchen table. It was heavy. She opened it carefully. Inside was a book, her father's notebook, now bound and neatly organized. The cover read, "To my daughter, always," by David. Maya blinked back tears. She flipped through the pages. His entries, his fears, his hopes, all about raising her, about learning to live again, about loving deeply. At the end, she found a new message written just for her. "Dear Maya, you made me brave. You made me believe I could raise you right. And most of all, you reminded me that love doesn't fade. It grows. Love, Dad." Maya hugged the book to her chest. David watched her carefully. "You don't have to read it all tonight," he said gently. Maya looked at him. "I will," she said, "because this is our story." David smiled. "It always has been." Over the next few months, Maya prepared for college. She got accepted into a program focused on creative writing. Exactly what she had dreamed of since she first put pen to paper. One evening, as she packed boxes in her room, David walked in with 2 cups of hot chocolate. He handed her one. "I'm going to miss this," he admitted. Maya gave a small smile. "Me too." David sat beside her. "I never imagined I'd raise you alone," he said. "But somehow, it feels like we built something beautiful." Maya leaned into him. "We did," she whispered. David kissed her forehead. "And no matter where you go," he added, "you'll always have me." Maya nodded. "I know." Weeks later, she stood outside her dorm, suitcase in hand. David helped her carry things inside. They set up her small room together, posters, books, photos of them scattered across the walls. Before leaving, David reached into his coat pocket. He handed her a small, familiar-looking notebook. Maya frowned. "What's this?" David smiled. "A new one," he said, "for your next chapter." Maya flipped it open. The first page read, "Dear Maya, your mother would have been so proud. I already am. Keep writing. Keep growing. And remember, I'm always here." Maya looked at him. Then she threw her arms around him. "I love you," she whispered. David held her tightly. "I love you too," he said. "More than anything. This is more than a story about a father and daughter. It's a reminder that love doesn't fade. It transforms. That strength isn't loud. It's quiet and steady. And that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is show up, even when we're breaking inside." Maya and David's journey proves that family isn't about perfection. It's about presence, about choosing each other every single day. And most of all, it's about carrying love forward, no matter what life takes from us.